9 through 12, we should get started. If you're in need of an interpreter, I have put the information into the chat, and you can also click on the interpretation button at the bottom. We are video recording, so please know that this will be available afterwards. Tara and Christina, do you have anything to add to kick us off before we go into the first speaker?
I don't think so. Welcome.
Okay, well, first we're going to hear from Michelle on world history, voyages of exploration. So engage.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Abby and Gail, do you want to introduce yourselves real quickly?
Certainly. My name is Gail, and I am the senior consultant for National Geographic. We are proud to share this wonderful book. Michelle Hanchett leading the charge. I'll let her take it away.
Before you guys go on, I don't know, is everyone else getting a ton of feedback? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I think one person in the same room needs to mute. If you're in the same room, needs to mute.
Yes.
Okay.
Mute, and not only mute, but turn the volume off on your computer. Now I don't hear myself echoing. So thank you. That's really hard to present when you're echoing. So very excited to be with you tonight. So World History, Voyages of Exploration. When you see that golden rectangle up in the upper left-hand corner, National Geographic, of course, brings back memories. Images start popping up in your head, and that same excitement you're going to see in our World History, Voyages of Exploration. We've really written this book to give the students a very empathetic, diverse view of world history and all the various cultures that have participated in that. And of course, you expect that from National Geographic. So first, some of the resources real quick. There is a print book, and the book is completely online for students with embedded images and videos and all sorts of fun ways for them to explore. There's something called a history notebook, and the history notebook is not a workbook, but it's a way for the students to reflect and engage and do that critical thinking about some of our specialized features, which I will be showing you in just a bit. Our platform is called MindTap. It's for both teachers and students. So again, students have the complete ebook. Teachers, you have all of your resources, including the complete teacher's edition online for you. And the teacher's edition is annotated. It has so much support to help all learners be successful. You will find so much with active options and differentiation and background for the teacher that you will be able to teach easily with our National Geographic Learning's World History, Voyages of Exploration. And we also have Cognero. Cognero is our online test generator. We already have question banks in there, but you as a teacher can edit those, add your own, and all of this is uploaded easily into Canvas. We also are aligned to the Oregon standards, and we can supply you with a correlation. So what makes National Geographic Learning stand out? Of course, our explorers. That's something that no other company has because, of course, we're National Geographic. These diverse young people, and I say young because I just had a birthday recently and I'm not young anymore, they all have really great careers showing the students how this world history is relevant to them. I love how some of their careers are kind of crazy because it opens up the work for the students, but also those role models. Students will see somebody that looks like them through our explorers. Our explorers have wonderful articles in the textbook, whether it's just the beginning or family traditions with the Leakey family or when women ruled the world, or Albert Lynn, who's searching for Genghis Khan's tomb. You really need to check him out because he can't dig, so he's using a lot of technology. Tracing Hannibal's route through the Alps with the elephants, or the wisdom of indigenous people, or capturing indigenous voices. Articles from all walks of life you will find in our National Geographic Voyages of Exploration. But not just the explorers, but the photographers as well. It would be awesome if we could take our kids around the world on a field trip to all the great places, Oh, we can. So we have our photographers, like here with the Terracotta Warriors. And then, like I said, videos. We do have a video with Albert Lynn showing him how he's trying to use technology, but not just explore videos, but videos to help explain the concepts like time travel, the trade routes in 1400. We also have this global approach emphasizing diversity and empathy with global perspective. This is an online feature, so if you have the print book in front of you, make sure you go online and see this. Every unit starts with a global perspective, and there's pages in the history notebook for the students to reflect on that. Our unit openers are beautiful, of course. What do you expect? But if you look at them, they're really taking some aspect of that culture at that time. But it's not just, hey, cool image, but also critical viewing, getting that visual literacy that's so important for students to have. You will find critical viewing all throughout National Geographic Learning's materials. Our chapter openers as well, those compelling images, just what you expect when you think of the National Geographic magazine. You want to read about these places, these people, these experiences that people had throughout history. These engage the students, get them excited about what they're going to learn. One of our specialized feature is material culture. We brought artifacts from around the world from various cultures to show what these cultures used in their everyday lives or what was important to them. Also, preserving cultural heritage. Many of our archaeologists are working on preserving specific areas, like here with the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I actually recently went to a 3D display on it. It is so cool. But seeing how, again, those role models of our explorers are trying to preserve history and explain it so that everybody can experience it at some point, whether in person or through images. We also have these great travelers throughout history where we get to explain, they get to explain through primary source materials exactly what they experienced as they traveled throughout the world. I love this. This is such a cool feature, global commodities. Even as somebody as old as me, salt, okay? Salt's just on your table. But yes, how important was salt to history? How important are the rest of these commodities to the world and to history? We get students to see how they really shaped travel and trade and relations between different communities throughout history. In our history notebook, like I said, there are pages, they are not dedicated for a workbook, but things like preserving the cultural heritage, where we're going to reflect on the queens of Egypt, or looking at the traveler Simaquan, or power objects through the global perspective. What object signified power throughout history, or that global commodity of salt. What students and teachers will find at the beginning of each unit are timelines, another feature that I love. I love history, but so often you're reading something in history and you're not aware of what was happening in the rest of the world at that same time period. So to have that context for students, I think, is so important. And then teachers, you will have these great planning pages showing you what are the unit resources, and then that specific chapter within the unit. So we've broken it down by units, chapters, sections, and then lessons. And you can see how each of the lessons fits into that unit. And then after the planner, teachers, you've got a 2-page spread with strategies for differentiation, ideas for striving readers, inclusion, English language learners, gifted and talented, and pre-AP. As we turn and take a look at a lesson, lessons are either 2 or 4-page spreads. So you can see here for teachers that wrap around with all the information with the objective, the background, the introduce and engage, the teach with the guided discussion. But look at this, active options. All lessons have at least 1 and usually 2 active options, ways to get your students up and moving, or homework or projects. But also 2 additional differentiation activities. So not only differentiating the chapter, but lessons. All lessons end with historical thinking. That's your formative assessment, and it's right there, the suggested answers in the teacher's edition. But also, every section has vocabulary practice and reading and note-taking, supporting those students that may need this help to understand the vocabulary and then to put their thoughts in order so that they can master the content. Another thing online, this is a look at the student edition. Not only do we have a read speaker that will read it out loud to the students, but this toggle right here for the students that need that support, they can click on that toggle and it will take the reading level down about 2 grade levels while keeping the content the same. So even your struggling readers can be successful in your world history class. As we look at another lesson, this one's 4-page with that global commodity, and you see with the global commodity, yes, we still have the guided discussions and the differentiation. Since this is a 4-page lesson, those active options would be on the next page. Each unit also comes with a unit inquiry project. Again, ways for the students to do that higher order thinking that we all strive to look for in our assessments. And teachers, we even have a rubric already made for you so that you don't have to come up with one. All of this wonderful content is on our MindTap platform, and it is very easily integrated with Canvas. All the assignments, all the assessments are already preloaded once you link to our MindTap platform, that you don't have to do anything but click. We've got the grade pass back and we are ready to go. So thank you. Are there any questions I can answer? I know I just had a couple of minutes and I wanted to make sure I got everything in there. And sorry, interpreters, I hope I didn't talk too fast for you.
I'm sorry, I came in a little bit late. What grade level were those for?
This is the high school world history, Voyages of Exploration.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Wow. Look at that, 30 seconds left. I really hit the 10-minute mark. Well, thank you for your time, Christina and Tanya. And I'll be back for the breakout sessions in approximately an hour, is it?
All right, are we good to go with Black History? Okay, wonderful. All right, so my name is Henry Sandoval. I'm the Director of Sales for Black History 365. Today, I'm going to provide you an overview of our organization, our textbook, and resources. And so we have today, right now I'm going to be presenting on our 9-12, and then later on I'm going to be presenting on our 6 through 8. But here at Black History 365, our textbooks were designed to create a very unique experience in the classroom. We really wanted students to engage with the material. We want them to walk away becoming critical thinkers, compassionate listeners, fact-based, respectful communicators, and most importantly, action-oriented solutionists. So here are pictured our primary authors. Dr. Walter Milton Jr. pictured at the top. He is a former school superintendent. He has also been a published author. He's a historian. He's actually taught in history classes all the way through administration. And it was during that time he recognized there was an educational gap for students of color seeing themselves in a textbook. So he created and started to create what we have now as Black History 365. During that time, he partnered with Dr. Joel Freeman, who you see pictured on the bottom. And Dr. Freeman, what he brings to this project is he has one of the largest privately held collections of Black history relics and images. So 45% of the images you find within our textbook come directly from the Freeman Institute. Here's a picture of a quick snapshot of the districts you can find Black History 365. Currently, we are in roughly 225 districts. There in the Northwest, you can see Seattle. We're in Beaverton, Salem Kaiser, Lane ESD, and then Oakland Unified School District as well. So I'm going to break down our 10 distinctives, and this is really going to show kind of some areas that we separate ourselves from other textbook companies that offer Black history. First is that access to the exclusive high resolutionary imagery that I spoke to earlier. On the right-hand side, you can just see how bold and beautiful those images are. They really pop, they're captivating. We want students to be invited in to really want to know more about the images that are being presented. We also have what's called the proprietary elephant experience, and this was designed for teachers to engage in what we deem as hot topics. We currently have 53 hot topics spread throughout our textbook, and this allows students to have a civil conversation around maybe the N-word, 3/5 of a human being, slave insurance. Should we tear statues down? Should we not? Teachers are going to go through a very robust training that's going to provide them all the tools necessary to create this experience in the classroom. We also have sidebar chats spread throughout our book. Something to consider, we lift some of the engaging images and relics and pull those to the forefront with questions to allow for further engagement with the students. You also find the ACE lessons at the beginning of each chapter and unit. The ACE lesson really kickstarts and activates, connects, and engages the student in a way that allows them to be previewed to the information they're about to learn, but then also gives them some opportunity to have engagement with their peers about what they know about this information prior to going into the lessons. We have chapter check-ins. 1 in every 4 pages, you're going to find this gold box on the bottom. This is an opportunity for students to stop, pause, reflect on the information that they're learning. Again, it provides further engagement opportunity, whether it's peer discussion, classroom discussion, but it also allows teachers the opportunity to really see, engage where students are as they progress through the material. And then our resource starts in ancient Africa. So we go all the way back to the beginning of time. Chapter 1 is how Africa got its name. And then we progress forward. Our textbook is as current as 2021 and recent events within that year. So it is the most up-to-date textbook that you're going to find. We also have professional development, which I'm going to break down later on during the presentation. We have 1,200 embedded QR codes, so that 21st century is being utilized to allow students the opportunity to freely see, whether it's video, there's also going to be museum tours. They're going to have opportunity to bring the relics to life and see a 360 view of the relics. There's going to be documentary style interviews. Again, over 1,200 QR codes spread throughout our textbook. We have a 41-song double-sided album that goes along with the textbooks that the teachers will be provided. This is age appropriate. We have taken the words directly from the chapters and written an album. Dr. Kevin K. O'Cates, who you see pictured there, is a Grammy-nominated producer, and he created this album, again, with the words directly from the textbook. We have community engagement activities built into this. We wanted to make sure we could tear down the 4 walls of the classroom. We have posed questions for students to really engage with their community. So they'll go out maybe where they get their haircut, where they go shopping for groceries, and they can ask individuals some of these questions and then bring it back to the classroom. And schools across the United States are using this in various ways. They can write an essay, they can do a peer project, they can do a presentation, but it really allows the students the opportunity to reflect on what individuals outside the classroom know about the information that they're learning. We also have the Young Solutionist Group, which is a student-led advisory board. We are currently growing this. This is about 1.5 years old, and this is going to be opportunities for students to have leadership development as well as scholarship opportunities. And then our advisory board itself, we have a very robust advisory board. All of these individuals have contributed to the textbook in one way or another, whether it's providing music, providing personal video collections. Kathy Hughes, who you see pictured there, we have an entire chapter that's dedicated to entrepreneurship and building wealth and mortgages and college universities, HBCUs. And she was a big contributor to that chapter, being able to provide us some real life examples, as well as examples of some of her colleagues. And then everything that we have is available in hardback textbook as well as ebook. Our ebook platform it features interactive notepads for students to be able to take notes. The highlighter function will allow them to highlight information, and it will save it in order of color. There's 8 different colors, and it will also save it in order of chapter, whichever the student prefers. There's digital interactive buttons. So everywhere you see a QR code, there is a button that is replaced to allow for that same engagement that the student would have if they were using a hardback textbook. Then there's readback functionality. So you can slow back the pace at which the information is read back to the student. This allows for comprehension, the equal opportunity for comprehension, as well as the ability to really kind of bring it to that student's level of reading and understanding. There's communication features built within it. So there's real-time communication features where the teacher can send a message or post a message to the students in real time, and vice versa. The student can ask a question in real time to the teacher. And lastly, our professional development. It's not just a textbook. We really want to create a culture. And in order to do that, we know that the teachers need to be supported and well-equipped. And so we have a 3-prong approach that we take. First, we create a safe environment for the teachers to learn and grow. And then we enhance the teacher's understanding of implicit bias. And then we equip them with tools to create a positive learning experience. So there's 5 elements of professional development. Due to the short period of time we have, I'm just going to highlight and share that we have the facilitator training, which is a 1-day training. Your teachers will also be provided with a 4-day training that can be broken down into the time period that the district would prefer. But this is the Summer Institute to allow them to really break down the chapters, build out additional lesson plans, and really create that support the teachers need. We have on-demand instructional support. So the trainer goes from being a trainer and then becomes the teacher's coach throughout the entire school year. So they are there on call should any questions come up in the classroom, should they need any support at all. They're able to get a hold of their trainer basically 24/7 throughout the week. And then we have ongoing facilitator check-ins, which is a 2-hour monthly Zoom call that the teachers it's optional for them to attend. And this is where the trainer will bring in all of the teachers in that regional area and allow for the opportunity to share kind of good practices, what's working, throw some things on the table that you can really learn from each other. And it really builds that community of teachers. And then administrators will also have the same opportunity to go through training. And this will provide them an opportunity just to be able to understand fully what's being implemented. They'll be provided a look format so they can hold the teachers and the students accountable to the information that's being provided. And we like to end every presentation with a quote from Dr. Carter G. Woodson: "The mere imparting of information is not education. Above all things, the effort must result in making a man think and do for himself." And this book is dedicated to Dr. Carter G. Woodson. So thank you for your time, and I will be back for the Q&A at the end.
Thank you so much. Perfect timing. And our next presenter will be from Norton Publishing, and this relates to government and U.S. history courses.
Perfect. Can someone just confirm that you can see my slides before I get started?
Good.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to jump right in since I know the clock is ticking. My name is Anna Collier, and I'm your Norton representative. And today I'm here to chat about Give Me Liberty, our top option for U.S. history, and We the People, our book for U.S. government. Before I get into the books, I just want to provide a little bit of information about our company for those of you who might not be familiar. So W.W. Norton is the oldest and largest publishing house owned entirely by its employees. And we've been independent since our founding in 1923, which means, yes, we are celebrating 100 years this year, hence the big 100 on this opening slide. And during that century of independent publishing, we have maintained our dedication to books that live. That is our motto across our full catalog, which spans social studies, fine arts, ELA, and science. And the high school group is a fairly new endeavor at Norton. We began in 2012 out of a desire to better serve our high school customers, which is why I'm very excited to, attend this event and talk with members of the community, teachers, school admin about what you're looking for in materials for students. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking about Give Me Liberty, a brief 7th high school edition, which is our top choice for U.S. history. And then moving on, I'll talk about We the People for U.S. government. So Give Me Liberty is used and loved by instructors and students alike because it delivers an authoritative American history that explains not just what happened, but why. And it does so using a guiding theme of freedom throughout the entire text. How has it changed over time for what groups of people? For this new edition, Eric Boner handpicked Kathleen Duvall and Lisa McGurr to join him as co-authors in order to expand the book's Native American history coverage and to incorporate the most recent scholarship into the narrative, keeping the information relevant for today's students. In this presentation, I'll go through some of the book's features, the accompanying media package, so digital resources for students, and then the instructor resources that accompany the books. So without further ado, I'll just jump into it. So the surrounding pedagogical features in Give Me Liberty help make history accessible to students. So I'm just going to dive into a tour of chapter 19 as an example, beginning with the chapter opening pedagogy. So for example, the focus questions that appear at the beginning of each chapter. They're also reiterated at the top of each right-hand page in the print book to help students see the forest from the trees, if you will, connecting the individual events to the larger themes and changes over a time period. And then there are also chapter opening vignettes that introduce students to the main chapter topic through a captivating profile or a story to really get them excited to read further. And then there are also, you'll see on the left-hand side, the chronologies provided at the beginning of each chapter so that students get an idea for what they are going to be covering in a given chapter. There are also key terms bolded in the narrative to help students identify the important concepts, which are, of course, defined in a glossary at the end of the text. Additionally, there are concept definitions included in parentheses in the narrative throughout the text, such as the one highlighted just got bigger down below, regarding how red or black flags served as symbols during the time period. Additionally, to help guide student reading, there are marginal content flags that identify key topics that form chapter outlines for students. Give Me Liberty also features a stunning array of visuals. So we have photographs, illustrations, fine arts, political cartoons, and more. And these were all carefully selected by the authors with many distinctive illustrations not found in other textbooks. Every chapter includes paired primary source documents in our Voices of Freedom features, such as the ones shown here, which will include accompanying headnotes and questions you'll see in the box on the bottom right, written by Eric Foner. And these just are features that reflect contrasting views on topics linked to freedom. So tying in that thematic approach that the book takes. There's also end of chapter review material, including the list of key terms, review questions for analysis, and it also highlights where students can practice the learning objectives further, such as the note you see in the bottom right there that encourages students to continue to review using our Inquisitive platform, which I will discuss in just a little bit. Moving on to We the People. We the People is the #1 book for American government because of its unparalleled ability to help students understand American government, how it applies to them, and how they can participate. In addition to accessible modern coverage of core concepts and, of course, comprehensive 2022 election updates, the 14th edition also introduces a new co-author, Megan Ming Francis, who uses her experience as an instructor and a scholar of race and ethnicity politics to really energize coverage of race and social movements throughout the text and explain today's politics and how it reflects fundamental American values. There are chapter opening true stories written by another co-author, Andrea Campbell, that reveal how government affects the lives of ordinary citizens, making each chapter relevant for today's students. There are also Who Are Americans infographics that show how Americans experience government. And there are Who Participates infographics that show how Americans shape government. And both of these infographics are often broken down by demographics like race, gender, age, political party, income, etc., just making data visual and more easily interpreted by students. I'm working on that data literacy. We the People's innovative how-to guides featuring interviews with political experts provide concrete, easy to follow instructions for students on how to get involved in government in effective ways. So now that I've gone over the book content very briefly for each title, I just want to spend some time discussing the digital resources that accompany each book. So I'm going to spend more time discussing our Lumen ebook and our Inquisitive program and the student study guide for Give Me Liberty on the next few slides. But I just wanted to quickly highlight the other items on this list. So Give Me Liberty has history skills tutorials, which are thoughtfully scaffolded tutorials that cover how to analyze primary sources, secondary sources, images, and maps. Additional content for Give Me Liberty includes hundreds of primary source readings, author videos, key term flashcards, chapter outlines, and interactive maps, which we call iMaps. And then for We the People, there are animations, which basically take the infographics, the animated infographics from the textbook, and then turns them into animations to guide students through interpreting and analyzing information. And then additionally, for We the People, each chapter includes a short simulation that allows students to inhabit the role of various political actors to help them better understand political decision making. It's kind of like a fun choose your own adventure, and they can do it over and over again, taking a different path each time. Moving on to the other digital resources that accompany the books, I'd like to start with the Norton Illumin ebook, which is the version of the ebook that accompanies both of these books. In addition to annotation functionality, hover over key terms, offline reading capability, and instructor note capabilities, the Norton Illumin ebook provides students with the opportunity to interact with the text in a more meaningful and engaging way. On the screen now is an example of a check your understanding question from We the People. The check your understanding questions are low stakes multiple choice questions tied to whatever section the student would have just finished reading. And there's at least one check your understanding question for every subsection of a chapter. And these questions really encourage students to think critically and synthesize what they've just read rather than just, copying information directly from the text. And as you see in this looping video, upon answering, students get instant feedback, which scaffolds the questions for students who are struggling and provides consistent reinforcement of the content. And the check your understanding questions really empower students to easily identify areas where they may need to read again, or they might just need to engage in more practice, but it gives them the opportunity to understand clearly where that might be the case. The Norton Illumine book for Give Me Liberty in particular will have additional interactives. So there's the Voices of Freedom interactives, which ask students to analyze written primary source documents like you see here with an audio option to have the documents be read aloud and make the documents more lively and accessible for students. And then these interactives will also offer that immediate answer specific feedback to provide scaffolded support. There's also additional interactives called Visions of Freedom that ask students to practice analyzing primary visual sources like paintings, maps, and images. And yeah, they get that fun little congratulations, you finished this at the end. Moving on to Inquisitive, which again accompanies both books. Inquisitive is Norton's easy to use adaptive learning tool that personalizes the learning experience for students, helping them to understand and retain key learning objectives through a variety of question types, answer-specific feedback, and game-like elements, such as the ability to adjust their confidence level for each question. Students are motivated to keep working until they've mastered the concepts. This is an example from Chapter 2 of Give Me Liberty that asks students to analyze a map and then complete a drag and drop question type. Let's see, it doesn't look like it's playing. There we go. It has a drag and drop question type that provides, feedback as they're moving through that. It's just an example of one of the many varieties of questions that we have beyond the standard multiple choice. Inquisitive's adaptive format allows instructors to easily provide differentiated learning options to students and ensure that students who need to be challenged are, while those who need support get extra practice. Instructors will also receive data from Inquisitive as students submit work that will allow them to identify immediately without having to, grade an assignment manually. They'll be able to identify what learning objectives the class is struggling with across the entire class, or if an individual student is struggling with a particular concept. And that is going to allow the instructor to intervene early or adjust their lectures if it's something that the whole class is struggling with. The last digital resource I want to highlight is the new student study guide that accompanies Give Me Liberty. And this is available automatically as an ebook with the book, but we also have it in a print format if that is preferred. If anyone wants to see a demo chapter of the student study guide, just come to the breakout room after and I can walk you through a sample. The student-facing guide helps students succeed in their U.S. history course and develop the study skills that they need for future success. So on the screen, I just have a breakdown of what each chapter of the guide includes. So it starts with a brief introduction to the chapter concepts, moves into a vocabulary builder. There's at least 3 to 4 different kinds of vocab worksheets for each chapter. And so this is a great support resource for all students, but especially multilingual learners. There are cause and effect graphic organizers, so students can visualize events and how they relate to each other. There is categorizing themes graphic organizers to help students sort out common threads and concepts through different historical time periods. And then there's document analysis that expands upon the primary source support in the textbook. We have SWOT analysis, which SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So students are given a historical event and a theme or concept within that event, and they're asked to list out these elements on a grid. Again, I can show you this during the breakout session if you'd like. And then finally, we have the Writing Center, which is a robust collection of writing prompts, ways to organize ideas, how to write a thesis statement or a topic, and scaffolding to help students work up to building complete essays. We also offer a robust suite of instructor resources to help instructors get the most out of each of the books, including lecture PowerPoints, test banks, instructors manuals containing, helpful and creative resources for lecture planning and classroom activities. To just dive into the instructor's manual for Give Me Liberty, it's written by the same authors as the student study guide, meaning the two resources align to provide an integrated learning experience. It supports teachers in helping students get the most out of that student study guide and includes all the answers, of course. And there's also guiding questions, activity suggestions, and tips for pacing for the school year. The instructor resource package will also have support for creating a more inclusive U.S. history course with resources written by historian Trinidad Gonzalez of South Texas College, helping instructors embrace equity-minded principles in designing, teaching, and reflecting on their teaching. Some examples of those resources include tips for best use of the support materials. So how to use culturally responsive teaching principles to adapt a lecture PowerPoint template that we've given to really center on your specific student interests. There's also a capstone local history project with suggested resources for uncovering local Indigenous histories with rubrics that are adaptable, again, to make it flexible for your particular student interests. And just to close things out here, I wanted to end by discussing two of our company's primary initiatives. So at WW Norton, we are dedicated to helping our community of instructors create learning environments where every student can succeed. To be more specific about what we mean when we say that, I just want to articulate our efforts in two distinct but interrelated areas. Building on longstanding efforts to publish inclusive content. So when we say that, we mean course materials that incorporate diverse perspectives, avoid harmful biases, and are accessible to all. We've more recently formalized our commitment to supporting equity-minded pedagogy, which is our teaching and learning practices that promote conditions in which all students have an equal chance of success. And if you'd like to learn more about the ways in which we are approaching these initiatives, please join the breakout room. I'm happy to chat about it more. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you today. Like I said, I'd love to answer any questions you might have about the book or their resources. If anyone wants to see a more in-depth demo of our Illumin ebook or Inquisitive, I'm also happy to provide that. So just come to the Norton breakout session. I look forward to chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Our next presenters are from TCI, and this will be related to our Econ and U.S. History courses.
One second.
All right.
All right. All right. So my name is Christy Sanders, and I am a national account manager for TCI. And of course, everything is now backwards. I just switched open. Sorry, you're going to see this in the reverse. So TCI is Teachers Curriculum Institute, and we are a privately held publishing company. So our focus is social studies, and that is what we have been doing for the last over 35 years. TCI, again, is Teachers Curriculum Institute, and our standing point is that our foundation is created by teachers for teachers. So the owner of our company actually started off as a methods professor from Stanford and decided that he wanted to interrupt social studies education and move away from just the memorization of facts and just solely being a textbook only program, and creating really a dynamic curriculum for both teachers and students as we go through. TCI is being used across the nation. So we're used from very large school districts. Portland Public, actually, Portland's been using TCI products for a number of years, but all the way up to districts as large as Los Angeles Unified to small privately held schools. So our goal is really to make this accessible for students and make it content accessible for students, but making sure that we are engaging in culturally responsive practices. So students are going to have access to civics, primary sources, video, libraries, vocabulary, inquiry projects, and standards all through TCI, but making sure that they are part of the experience. And so it's not just going to be a sit and get program where the teachers are going to sit and stand and deliver content. So the two programs that we're going to be looking at today are going to be our History Alive Pursuing American Ideals, which is our high school U.S. history program, and then our Economics high school economics program, which is Econ Alive, The Power to Choose. The foundations behind our History Lab Pursuing American Ideals is that we want it to be a debate society for our students. So we want to start with foundations from the Declaration of Independence. So equality, rights, liberty, democracy, opportunity. And then our goal is to present facts, present lots of different perspectives as we go through, and then have students really look at US history, and then they get to decide how the US is doing. So they get to do that comparative. There are going to be major writing assignments that are embedded throughout this program. And while we are looking at historical US history, they're going to have the opportunity to continually make connections to their own lives today. For economics, we have this program that is built to be a semester-long program. Everything is going to be based around inquiry, just as US history is too, but there'll be these unit level inquiry projects where students are going to be given tasks so that they can do these problem-based learning activities at the end of each unit. There are going to be applicable like personal finance. So we'll have a whole personal finance toolkit. Students are going to be exposed to both micro and macro level economics within the unit. And then teachers are going to have all the support that they need to as they go through. So for our teacher materials, how do teachers access the materials? They have a very robust teaching platform. This is going to have everything that they need. This is also a way for TCI to make sure that we're continually updating the materials to the best everything for 2022. We don't want them sitting like now that we're in 2023, we don't want them sitting in 2022 technology. And as the adoptions go along, we continue to add to our online program. So making sure that it's very robust and teachers have everything they need, but also keeping it up to date. Teachers will have teacher guides. This is going to be printed teacher support. They are going to have placard sets. These are going to be used for gallery walks. They'll also have reproducible printed pages for students. So all of this is also available in Spanish. And then on the student side, students are going to have access to the same platform that teachers have access to. So they'll have all the reading that is necessary. Teachers can share slideshows with them, extra resources that are built within the lessons. We also have printed student textbooks. The textbooks from TCI are built very differently from other publishers in that we don't actually have questions built in our textbooks because the textbook is part of the entire program and not the end all be all. If teachers want students to do things in print, they will have support for these interactive student notebook pages that they can print off. Otherwise, students can do all of the work online, and being a parent or guardian at home, you would have access to be able to see everything that your students are doing. Again, everything is both in print and online in Spanish. So we have printed textbooks as well. So the way that everything is set up is that you would have these unit overviews. As the unit overviews, you'll have unit inquiry projects, you will have unit structure. So this lesson structure, there are reading activities. So students would have access to multiple reading levels, text to audio, main idea viewer. They would have pages from their notebook, and they would also have vocabulary pages. Every lesson will have a lesson outline. So this is going to be supportive for as students are going to take a test or a unit. This is a place where teachers can share just the highlights of the units. And then there are going to be classroom activities. And this is really the heart of TCI. What we want students to do is get up to be part of the lesson. We don't want them to be passive learners. This is also what's going to be supportive of students who have differing educational needs. So if your student maybe doesn't do well with simply just reading, or maybe your student needs extra to work with somebody else, students are going to be working together in groups to make sure that they have access. There are going to be extra dive deeper resources, as well as a whole robust learning library that they will have access to. Every lesson and unit will have support for assessments. So they are going to have both formative assessments as well as summative. So formative in the way of lesson games, places where students can check their understanding within the text itself when reading. Every lesson has what we call a processing assignment, which allows all students to show what they understand. And then we also have summative assessments that can be done in both print as well as online. Teachers can use this to find the class trend. So as the students take it, they can see the percentage and number of students who've gotten the question wrong or right. They can also go in and see individual student results. So if students need support with intervention, they can go back through and they can do the class trends. Any of our assessments are customizable for students, so they can get in and they can answer any of these questions. The teacher support is really important because what they'll have is they're going to have support for students who are reading and writing below grade level, multimedia, extra websites, videos for enhancing learning. pacing options for students so they can do quicker coverage, deeper coverage, as well as extra support resources. So skills, toolkits, vocabulary, as they go through additional libraries. And again, everything is both in English and Spanish. One of the learning components here in Portland Public is making sure that you have access to everything through Canvas. So that makes it as a seamless opportunity for both at home as well as at school. So TCI has a seamless application so that teachers can go through, they can assign things directly through Canvas. Students will click on that sign in and they would be able to be taken to their TCI lessons as they go through. So this full Canvas integration will allow the syncing between assignments as well as grades. And so what does this actually look like online? So if I go into our high school US history program, you can see all of the different units that you have, that your teachers would have access to. They can click into a unit and they would be able to see all of the lessons that are built within a unit. So these lessons are going to be maybe take a day or two to get through. Once you dive into an actual lesson itself, you can see all of the components. So you can see the teachers are going to have support for planning and overview. They'll have all of their objectives, any materials that they need, all of the teacher prep is fully supported, differentiation, and those extra support pieces for enhancing learning. Teachers are going to have lots of different options for teaching. We know that all classrooms are different, but they're going to all have the same resources. So they can start from a place to go through as they are reviewing TCI and they're reviewing the lessons, they can click on the reading. So they would be able to see the reading. The reading that lives here is the exact same reading that's within a textbook. So what's great about that is that if a student happened to be online, or maybe student B happens to be in using in print, there's not going to be anything missed by doing either print or online. So it's the opportunity for students to see both of those pieces. This is where you can see there's multiple reading levels, text to audio, main ideas. Students can highlight any of the text as well as they can add any notes, and then they can save an offline version. So all of these, if I go in here, I can click on English and or Spanish and have that same opportunity for students to get through here for both English as well as Spanish. When, as a teacher, I will have access to the page numbers, everything else. So it's the one-to-one correlation. Going back to the lesson overview, I can see that here is my classroom activity slideshow. So if this is how I wanted to go through and teach it, all of the slides are pre-done for the teachers. This is all of the songs are embedded. Everything's right at point of use for the students and teachers, so they can access any of the links on the side. They will have all of the directions in here. Essential question, reading is going to be built right within the slideshow. So they can just click on the reading. It will give them the section of reading that they're supposed to do. So that it's just easy access. All of the teacher support buttons are also going to be on the side. So that when it's shared with students, they would only have access to the green buttons, whereas orange is for teacher only. So if I go back to here, I can also see that I have that lesson outline. And then a new feature that TCI is rolling out are going to be these really cool lesson activity, their video activities to give students another way to access content. So we know in this digital age that we're in, with students getting through, getting them excited about content, some students are going to get excited about doing things, and then some students are going to get excited about videos. So for example, in this one lesson for US history, this is the course and conduct. So they'll have some background information, a video. All of these are going to be embedded and fully used primary sources.
When the United States entered World War I in 1917, thousands enlisted to serve in the American Expeditionary Forces, or AEF, which was
So they'll learn all about this, and then they are going to listen to some primary source diary activities, and then the students are going to have a full choose your own adventure piece, if you will. So as students are going through here, this is just another way for them to learn content, to get excited about it, and to be part of the lessons as you go through. So teachers can assign these out as soon as students complete the work. They have the ability to respond to it. And then down below, you can see this is, again, where we will have additional explores, content in here, primary sources, and then you will have your assessments. So all of this is built into this online portal, but if teachers want to access it through print, they'll have that printed lesson guide. Again, video is a little hard to do through print, but it will reference, hey, go back to these videos. because our goal again with this is to get our kids excited about learning and to do this, but it's also to make sure that we are sharing multiple perspectives so that as students are going through, they get to be the ones to determine how they view U.S. history and all of the events that have happened in it. So when we look at different content in different areas, we are going to make sure that all different sides of the story are being told. So you're going to see it from all different points of view. And that is going to be part of the lesson to make sure that they'll hear stories from all different people who are involved in those historical aspects. For our economics program, it's very similar in that you will have access to right here. So you'll have access to all of the units. As the students go through, they will have access to the lessons. Teachers will have access to the lessons. Here too, this is where they'll have the reading classroom activity slideshow where we have video activities built in. It will be right here. And then you will have your assessment pieces down below. The differentiator here between econ and obviously U.S. history, you have a lot of stuff happening in U.S. history, but with economics, you have a lot of terms and sometimes there's a lot of some confusion with it. So what we're going to do is we are going to build in not only these pacing options, differentiation, but helps for teachers at a glance. So these are going to be kind of those misconceptions for teachers where maybe if you have a newer teacher teaching it, so where are some of those pitfalls that students might assume are accurate but aren't? So teachers are going to have access to that right at point of view. They are also going to have access to a whole bunch of different support pieces. So you're going to find our support to learning social studies skills, community, family resources. So everything's going to be really point of use for your teachers and for your students. So that as they're going through, they can get to these unit overview projects. They have the ability to do those unit introductions and inquiry projects, economic inquiry projects, where they're going to have really cool, fun projects that they are going to do at the end of every single unit. Each of those two is introduced with a video. So as you are previewing TCI, we have created public review resources, which I understand are on the PPS website. So you'll be able to access those through that website. And then from there, if you have any additional questions from TCI, feel free to jump in our room at the very end. So with that, I know I have about 30 seconds left. So I am going to turn the time over to somebody else from here.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, our next and I believe final presenters for tonight are from Savvis. Am I saying it right? I can never know. And this is related to our economics and U.S. history courses.
So I just need access for screen sharing.
Good thing we're ahead of schedule. This is Corey, right? I think we need Mary for that.
Okay, I think.
Okay, Tara, actually, Tara can.
Can you try again?
Sure thing.
That was my fault. I switched the powers that be over to Tara without
Okay,
telling her
there
right
we
away,
go.
so I apologize.
All right, perfect timing. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Well, for those who I haven't met tonight, my name is Corey Mack. I am a humanities specialist at the Savvis Learning Company. And thank you for giving me time this evening. And thank you for logging in and giving me time to show you all the different benefits and features that can be provided to your students and teachers in Portland Public Schools. So Social Studies Interactive includes the 4 courses you see here, but the ones of interest to the Portland Public Schools, as mentioned by previous presenters, are U.S. history and economics. And 2, obviously, totally different courses, but the commonality amongst both of them is that they're meant to really immerse your students in engaging social studies content and help them also to develop a variety of essential skills that are really going to be critical to their success, whether it's in college or their careers. And before jumping into those courses, I'd like to give everyone a breakdown of what materials are going to be provided to teachers and students. So regardless of the course, teachers are going to have the opportunity to blend print and digital content. Teachers are going to have a hardcover teacher edition filled with supports and resources, and students will have their hardcover student edition as well. But this isn't really the type of textbook that we likely used when we had social studies growing up. So what you're going to see is a magazine style student edition that has a balanced 50-50 split between text and between primary and secondary source imagery. So really the goal here, instead of inundating students with a lot of heavy text-based information, they're going to have those photographs, they're going to have maps, infographics, illustrations that are not only engaging and visually stimulating, but they really help to reinforce what is being read in the informational text. But these texts can still be challenging for some students to read. And what they're going to be able to do is utilize the resources within each of our courses workbooks. So what you're going to find in these workbooks include tools like graphic organizers, note-taking guides, close reading questions, and a whole lot more to really help students comprehend and organize the information that they're reading. And it'll also help teachers save time by having these resources readily available. Additionally, students will have the opportunity to use the workbook to practice reading and analysis of more complex texts, since they include document-based writing assignments. And these DBQs are really going to complement each and every chapter of their textbook. So there's going to be one there for teachers to use if they so choose. All of these materials that you just saw are available in print and online. They can be downloaded as well. Now, to further accommodate a blended approach, the textbook can also be accessed online through our Realize Reader app. So students are actually going to be able to download this app and actually portions of the textbook. So regardless of whether they have internet, the content is accessible to them. But offline access isn't the only support the eText provides. There are built-in translation and annotation tools that are incorporated right into the platform. So it allows the students to translate the text into over 120 different languages and provide a real equitable experience for language learners. So I don't know if you can hear that, but there is audio support there for a lot of the languages. In addition, as you can see here, there's the annotation tools. So students can highlight, they can circle, they can underline, and all those notes and answers that they put into the eText are going to be saved. They're not going to disappear. So all the digital components that I just mentioned can be found in the Savvis Realize Learning Management System. And I know how frustrating it can be to implement and navigate multiple programs in the classroom. And for parents, how confusing it could be to try and keep track of their child's progress if they have to jump around from Google Classroom or Canvas to another platform. But Savvis really aims to limit that frustration by integrating with a variety of learning management systems and other educational software, including Canvas. So our top of the line integration with Canvas really allows students and teachers to work directly within that platform. So students are going to be able to interact with that eText just as they would within the Realize Reader, all those annotation tools and such. All work can be completed and graded without ever leaving the LMS. So it's really, everything is going to be within that Canvas system. But let's actually talk about how and why our programs are built the way that they are. And I think it's important to recognize that students are learning differently today than they were even just a few years ago. And to top things off, disengagement and apathy have been reported by teachers in classrooms everywhere, right? From East Coast to West Coast. So it's really important more now than ever to engage students in multiple manners and expand instructional toolkits to include things like student choice, music and video, student voice, project-based learning, and digital activities. And with Social Studies Interactive, your toolkit, our teachers' toolkits, come fully equipped. So with Social Studies Interactive, teachers are going to be able to hook kids into the content using a wide array of relevant, relatable, and oftentimes entertaining resources that are going to get students' heads off their desks, their eyes off of their phones, and connected with the topic. And you're going to be able to bridge, teachers are going to be able to bridge the past with the present using a huge trove of current events and podcast stories through ListenWise that connect with what is happening in the lives of students today and also connect directly with the topics that they are going to be studying. And if you talk to a teacher today, they'll probably tell you how difficult it is for students, or at least to maintain proper student usage of devices in their classrooms, getting kids off gaming websites during class. But how about leveraging that interest in gaming, that addiction to gaming, and combining it with teaching social studies through gamified experiences? So with Project Imagine, you can do that. Teachers are going to be able to do that. So within our U.S. history course, students can virtually explore historical sites. They can participate in role play scenarios and experience history from multiple perspectives. They can even navigate critical moments in history through decision trees and opinion polls. But the thing is that all these immersives promote student-directed exploration and investigation, and they demonstrate our emphasis on inquiry-based instruction. And our inquiry-based instructional approach further extends into each and every chapter of Social Studies Interactive courses, where you'll find unique quest projects. And each of these quest projects are going to have students exploring compelling questions, practicing real-world applicable skills like self-directed research, collaboration, time management, organization, teamwork, while also completing real-world applicable tasks, like, for instance, right here, creating an actual website or participating in a debate or drafting positions and thesis statements, and to that extent, papers. But beyond practicing those real-world skills, we also want students to take action on the future using what they've learned about the past. So in all topics, our history programs, students can revisit the connections to today, which I introduced a moment ago, and complete a take action assignment that encourages students to learn about a topic or a specific issue that's connected with the topic of study and share their ideas and perspectives on what the future should look like. So teachers will have a tremendous amount of activities, projects, assessments to tap into. But, as we all know, classrooms are inclusive and the resources are only really worthwhile if they're accessible to all students. So embedded within the online platform and the Teachers Edition is a robust system of supports that really enables teachers to meet the needs of all students. So what teachers will find are ELL supports, differentiated instructional supports, vocabulary building exercises, image analysis, skill building exercises, common misconceptions, a whole lot more. But I really want to just draw your attention to the ELL supports, which are all WIDA aligned and address the needs of students at all different levels of English language proficiency. And the same can be said for our differentiated instructional strategies. So differentiation in my view, isn't just for students that are below level and perhaps identified as special needs. So there are strategies for all students at all levels and at point of use, meaning, these strategies are going to be specific to the topic that is being taught. And just as there are diverse learners in all classrooms, there are students from diverse backgrounds as well. And within Social Studies Interactive, teachers are going to find the supports they need to create a classroom community that values the backgrounds and experiences of all students. And you've already seen some of the ways in which Social Studies Interactive does this by incorporating student choice research projects where they can convey their positions and ideas, immersives, current issues. But teachers are also going to find a wide array of primary sources within the print edition and digital course. And they're going to give students a more complete understanding of history while also elevating the voices of groups that have been marginalized and individuals who have often been overlooked in history. And to have students share their perspectives and demonstrate their understanding of the sources that they are reading, we've got active classroom strategies, which are incorporated into each and every lesson. And these are high impact student-centered activities that aim to promote collaboration and active listening. And in the end, will give students, a more comprehensive understanding of what they're studying as they listen to a variety of interpretations of a reading or a topic. But teachers can go even further here and bring in specially made discussion prompts and activities that encourage students to share their ideas and personal experiences and positions on past and contemporary issues, and give them the chance to develop and share their voices and ideas in a calm and productive manner. Now, as important it is for content to be accessible to all types of learners, to all students, it's just as important for parents and for guardians to be able to access and monitor their child's educational experience. So to support that, an entire hub has been dedicated to helping parents learn how to navigate Savvis Realize, offering video tutorials, digital walkthroughs, handouts to help them learn more about the programs being utilized, and also ways to support student learning at home. So with that said, and to wrap up, we've briefly talked about the student-centered nature of all of our programs, the teacher supports that are built in to all of our Social Studies Interactive programs, as well as the accessibility to students and to parents and guardians. But to wrap it all up, what you have with Social Studies Interactive is a complete solution. You have all the tools and resources to engage your kids in the classroom and prepare them for whatever lies ahead. If anyone would like further details on any of our program components, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have in our breakout rooms, and I look forward to seeing you all there.